Ivachakshanastat pratikriya karma bibhatsitam iti vratam ajagaram asthita kshayana evasnati pibati khadati avami hati hadati sma cheshtamana ucharita adigdhodeshaha yarhivava when Saha, he, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Lokam, the people in general, Imam, this, Yogasya, to the performance of yoga, Adha, directly, Pratipam, antagonistic, Iva, like, Achakshanaha, observed, Tat, of that, Pratikriya, for counteraction, Karma, activity, Bibhatsitam, abominable, Iti, thus, Vratam, the behavior, Ajagaram, of a python, to stay in one place, Asthitaha, accepting, Sayanaha, lying down, Eva, indeed, Ashnati, eats, Pibati, drinks, Khadati, choose, Avamehati, passes urine, Hadati, passes stool, Sma, thus, Cheshtamanaha, rolling, Ucharite, in the stool and urine, Adigdha Udeshaha, this body is thus smeared. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When Lord Rishabhadeva saw that the general populace was very antagonistic to his execution of mystic yoga, he accepted the behavior of a python in order to counteract their opposition. Thus he stayed in one place and lay down. While lying down, he ate and drank, and he passed stool and urine and rolled in it. Indeed, he smeared his whole body with his own stool and urine so that opposing elements might not have come and disturbed him. Translation again. When Lord Rishabhadeva saw that the general populace was very antagonistic to his execution of mystic yoga, he accepted the behavior of a python in order to counteract their opposition. Thus he stayed in one place and lay down. While lying down, he ate and drank, and he passed stool and urine and rolled in it. Indeed, he smeared his whole body with his own stool and urine, so that opposing elements might not come and disturb him. Purport. According to one's destiny, one enjoys allotted happiness and distress, even though one keeps himself in one place. This is the injunction of the Shastras. When one is spiritually situated, he may stay in one place, and all his necessities will be supplied by the arrangement of the Supreme Controller. Unless one is a preacher, there is no need to travel all over the world. A person can stay in one place and execute devotional service suitably according to time and circumstance. When Rishabhadeva saw that he was simply being disturbed by traveling throughout the world, he decided to lie down in one place like a python. Thus he ate, drank, and he passed stool and urine, and smeared his body with them, so that people would not disturb him. Magyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhishram Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here is the wonderful verse. And just to remind everyone and myself what's going on here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I'd like to read a couple of the previous verses. So in this 5th chapter, Lord Rishabhadeva is instructing his sons. And after finishing the instruction, Rishabhadeva takes the order of Avadhuta. Avadhuta means someone who's above all the rules and regulations. So this is where we start. Shukadeva Goswami said, "Thus the great well-wisher of everyone, the Supreme Lord Rishabhadeva, instructed his own sons. Although they were perfectly educated and cultured, he instructed them just to set an example of how a father should instruct his sons before retiring from family life. Sannyasis who are no longer bound by fruitive activity and who have taken to devotional service after all their material desires have been vanquished also learn by these instructions. Lord Rishabhadeva instructed his own 100 sons, of whom the oldest, Bharata, was a very advanced devotee and a follower of Vaishnavas. In order to rule the whole world, the Lord enthroned his eldest son on the royal seat. Thereafter, although still at home, Lord Rishabhadeva lived like a madman, naked and with disheveled hair. Then the Lord took the sacrificial fire within himself, and he left Brahmavarta to tour the whole world. After accepting the feature of Avadhuta, a great saintly person without material cares, Lord Rishabhadeva passed through human society like a blind, deaf and dumb man, an idle stone, a ghost, or a madman. Although people called him such names, he remained silent and did not speak to anyone. So here we probably should note what is the difference between Avadhuta and sannyasi. Both may be very much elevated, but especially in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, especially in our branch, the difference between an Avadhuta and a sannyasi, that the sannyasi has a mission to carry. So he is not without cares. He's very careful to carry on his mission. But Lord Rishabhadeva's mission was to demonstrate a good example of someone who completely separated matter from spirit in his own consciousness. So this is why he took on a guise of Avadhuta. So Lord Rishabhadeva, although people called him such bad names, he remained silent and did not speak to anyone. Rishabhadeva began to tour through cities, villages, mines, countrysides, valleys, gardens, military camps, cow pens, the homes of cowherd men, transient hotels, hills, forests, and hermitages. Wherever he traveled, All bad elements surrounded him, just as flies surround the body of an elephant coming from a forest. He was always being threatened, beaten, urinated upon, and spat upon. Sometimes people threw stones, stool, and dusted him, and sometimes people passed foul air before him, which is a big offense. Thus people called him many bad names and gave him a great deal of trouble. But he did not care about this, for he understood that the body is simply meant for such an end. He was situated on the spiritual platform, and being in his spiritual glory, he did not care for all these material insults. In other words, he completely understood that matter and spirit are separate, and he had no bodily conception. Thus, without being angry at anyone, he walked through the whole world alone. Lord Rishabhadeva's hands, feet, and chest were very long. His shoulders, face, and limbs were all very delicate and symmetrically proportioned. His mouth was beautifully decorated with his natural smile, and he appeared all the more lovely with his reddish eyes spread wide like the petals of a newly grown lotus flower, covered with dew in the early morning. The irises of his eyes, well, I hope I read it right, the irises of his eyes were so pleasing that they removed all the troubles of everyone who saw him. His forehead, ears, neck, nose, and all his other features were very beautiful. His gentle smile always made his face beautiful, so much so that he even attracted the hearts of married women. It was as though they had been pierced by arrows of Cupid. About his head was an abundance of curly, matted brown hair. His hair was disheveled because his body was dirty and not taken care of. He appeared as he were haunted by a ghost. This is our verse under discussion. When Lord Rishabhadeva saw that the general populace was very antagonistic to his execution of mystic yoga, he accepted the behavior of a python in order to counteract their opposition. Thus he stayed in one place and lay down. While lying down, he ate and drank, and he passed stool and urine and rolled in it. Indeed, he smeared his whole body with his own stool and urine, so that opposing elements might not come and disturb him. But the next verse goes that his stool and urine were so aromatic, the aroma spread, many miles from the place where Lord Rishabhadev laid down. So here we see the behavior of Lord Rishabhadeva, and actually it is very instructive, not only to those who are who are avadutas, but to all the transcendentalists. Same chapter, verse 5, Lord Rishabhadeva begins his instructions to his 100 sons, and sorry. No, it's not verse 5. It's okay. Sorry. Okay, so let's just read out what he told his sons. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. So this is the verse. This is where Lord Rishabhadev instructs everyone who aspires for liberation from the material clutch to serve the great personalities, advanced spiritual personalities. And of course, Srila Prabhupada points us to devotees, not to the impersonalists. So Lord Rishabhadev showed by his good example the whole path of spiritual advancement from A to Z, from the beginning to the highly advanced stage. And oftentimes people outsiders, they ask us, okay guys, you look strange, you wear strange robes, you wear the chikas, you wear the clay marks, and you are quite convinced that your faith is all in all. So why is it so? Why do you believe that everyone should take to Krishna consciousness and, like you say, go back to Godhead? Aren't there any other ways or spiritual paths? And to that we may reply that yes, there are many other paths of religion, there are many other religious traditions, and one may believe in what he wants, and one may pursue any spiritual path. But those who are inquisitive, if they take a close look on the science of Krishna consciousness, they find out that Krishna consciousness is all about attaining happiness in life. And actually, attaining happiness in life is the aim of life of any living entity. Like a little child may tell his mother, "Mommy, I'm not having fun," means he's bored, and the mother has to entertain him somehow or other. And adult people, if their mind is not peaceful, if they are not happy in their heart, although they may live in very luxury conditions somewhere in Sweden or Canada, but if they are not happy in their heart, if their mind is disturbed, then they may commit many foolish activities, thinking that they can derive happiness from this or from that, or some of them go as far as even committing suicide. So this is what's going on when one doesn't have satisfaction inside. What to speak about happiness? And Krishna consciousness is all about how to become happy, how to have fun, basically. But to have fun, to be happy, a human requires others. A human cannot say that he is complete in himself. He can just sit down and have a fun on his own. Of course, sometimes we may see even a child may sit separately from other children and have fun. But this means that probably he's got a gadget, a new game, or he's surfing online. But what he's doing there on Facebook, he's connecting to other people to have fun. So it is impossible for a living entity to become happy on his own. For happiness, we require relationships. And this is what we are doing here in the material world. We're trying to have different types of relationships. If you look at young kids playing somewhere in a sandbox, what they are doing there? They're accepting different roles. They're playing different roles, and this is how they have fun. Someone may play the role of a policeman. You know, I remember in my childhood in kindergarten, I played a role of a policeman, of a traffic policeman, with a stick, you know, with my hat, and you know, I even made it to a local television playing this role. So it was so much fun, but it was just a play. But when people grow up, they still go on with their plays, with their playing, but they are trying to have fun in a different way, in a way different from the ways of children, because now they have to maintain themselves. They have adult desires, like to get married, to have kids, to have family. This is why they have to play other kinds of roles. But the general rule is the same. We are here in the material world trying to have fun in the place where it is, let's put it like this, very difficult, extremely difficult. Something, any moment, anything may spoil our fun. So, the science of Krishna consciousness teaches us how to become really happy by reviving our relationships with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has an unlimited amount of toys and games and entertainment for us. But the only problem is we are still playing in this sandbox of the material world. So Krishna consciousness is all about learning how to play with God, because there is no greater fun than Krishna Lila. And that is, if you go through the Vedas, that is the recognized fact. And everyone, even those who are not aware of it, they are trying to parrot Krishna Lila somehow or other. We may take, Bollywood movies, we may take Hollywood movies, whatever movie in the world. Somehow or other, they are trying to parrot Krishna Lila in their perverted ways. So this means that the science of Krishna consciousness is the most important thing one can learn in one's life. So it's not exactly just about our religious faith. It's not that we just like wearing robes and hanging around and chanting around, so to speak. And we like clay marks, we like looking strange. No, this is not the true impression. We're here wearing the robes, wearing the clay marks, wearing the neck beads, doing the lacto-vegetarian diet, chanting our rounds, to become really happy, to have the real fun. But in order to make it happen, first of all, we need to realize that we are not these bodies. First of all, we should somehow or other start playing into the right direction. Gradually we should stop playing the material games, playing fathers, mothers, workers, bosses, servants, masters, etc. And we should prepare ourselves to participate in Krishna's fun, in Krishna Lila. And While playing our roles in the material world, we are inclined to forget about our spiritual nature, our true nature. And this is why Shastras say that as long as we remember about our material body, about our material conditioning, it's very hard to remember Krishna. This is why we are given the Abhyasa Yoga, or constant practice of remembrance of Krishna. And Lord Rishabhadev here, he showed a good example. That was, of course, he showed a good example of how to do that, how to completely forget about the material body and how to remember Krishna. Of course, he had a different method to practice. We don't have to practice the method he practiced, this Jada Yoga. Our Abhyasa Yoga, our practice is different. Our practice is chanting the holy name, serving the Vaishnavas, honoring prasadam offered to the deity form of the Lord, etc. So we have hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, serving the devotees. So we have a different practice, but the general principle is the same. Somehow or other, we should come to the point where we're able to forget about our body and mind, at least for some time, require it to complete our rounds or during the kirtana performance. But as long as we're playing the roles in the material world, we are inclined to forget about our real selves, about our spiritual nature. And I remember myself a couple of years ago participating in a shooting. You know, it's a good example, shooting. When they shoot their movies, and you change your dress, putting on different costumes. Everyone basically understands that it's just a play. You know, like we had to play a group of British soldiers somewhere in Rajasthan, where they shoot all the battles. So our task was to play the British soldiers, and doesn't matter how we looked like. Whether we look like British or Russians, it's the same, I guess, for the Indian movie industry. So, first thing we were taught when we arrived to that Rajasthan desert was how to fight with a sword. You know, it's a good example. When I changed my dress and put on the uniform of a British soldier with this, funny hat. So then the next thing, we were taught how to fight with the sword. Of course, the sword was not real, but somehow or other it was quite a bit of fun. They taught us how to whirl the sword around, how to, use different techniques. Yeah, and because they would not allow us to chant our rounds on the shooting spot, I decided, okay, anyways, this is my role for now. I have to do it as in the best possible way. So I started practicing sword, whirl it in different ways, and very soon, of course, I was noticed by the shooting team, and they gave me more work. This is the result when you try to do it good. Yeah, but the wonderful thing was that when you do that, when the cameras are on and you have to fight, and also another wonderful feature of the shooting industry here in India, they allow you to do the hell you want, basically. You just know that, okay, after 1 minute you have to be killed. But otherwise, before that, you can do whatever you want, basically. So it was so much fun. I felt myself like participating into making something creative. Yeah, and that very moment you do that, you fight with an Indian artist. There is a tendency to completely forget that you're just playing a role. You're just playing a role of a British soldier, and you're not the British soldier exactly. But it was so absorbing that at some moments, I have to confess, I didn't remember that I was a devotee. And I even felt some anger and the desire to really fight it over. And we were always killed during the shootings. That was their task, because they're patriots after all. But I didn't want to be killed. I wanted to win. So same way, when we are in the material world, in the so-called real life, we are inclined to forget that we are actually not fathers, mothers, children, workers, bosses, masters, slaves, etc. But we are spirit souls within this material body, and our task is to find the real source of happiness. So this is why Krishna consciousness is so important, and this is why we should spread it. We should keep on with our mission, with our preaching mission, because in reality, without Krishna consciousness, people just cannot be happy. And as long as they are not happy, as long as they are not satisfied, they are in a dangerous situation. And Lord Rishabhadev showed on his good example how to make it. Although we don't have to, remove all the clothes from our bodies and just travel around as mad avadutas, but we got a different task, which is also as difficult as that sometimes, which is to carry on the preaching mission. And oftentimes, as Lord Rishabhadev had to face some opposing elements, preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement also have to face some opposing elements. And not all of them look like non-devotees or demons. Not all of them have horns and tails. But somehow or other, they have to oppose that. And actually, the main demon is within us. You know that what Vedas state, that in Satya Yuga, demons and devotees, they used to live in different universes. Then in Treta Yuga, they used to live in one universe. Then in Dwapara Yuga, on one planet. And now in Kali Yuga, demon and devotee, the demon and the devotee live in the same body. So basically, our mission is twofold: external side and internal side. As long as our internal demon, the demon of our anarthas, the demon of our material condition is not subdued, we should know that we are living in the society of our worst enemy. So the internal part of our mission is to conquer the internal demon, to convert him into devotee. And that big demon is our own mind. Of course, many people are very pious. They're very pious, their mind is peaceful, and they are very religious. We may see that especially here in India. But the demoniac mentality has many manifestations, has many folds. And we can see in Krishna Lila, if you read Krishna book, that sometimes even such great personalities like Indra, the king of heaven, they may fall victims of the demoniac mentality, because the seed of demoniac mentality is, I am the enjoyer, I am the doer. Basically, I am the Supreme Lord. So, Lord Rishabhadev showed on his good example how to subdue the senses and mind by constant practice of the mystic yoga. And our practice is, of course, serving the holy name in the society of the Vaishnavas. Like Gauranga Mahaprabhu puts it, there are three principles of religion in this age of Kali. They are, who can enlist them? Anyone? Three principles of religion in this age of Kali? Well, this is okay, but three principles of religion for this age of Kali? Okay, so Namaruchi, first one, Jivadoya, second one, and Vaishnava Seva, so the three principles of religion. So anyone who follows these three principles by developing Namaruchi in the society of devotees and preaching this mission to help others to become devotees, he is following the principles of religion. So basically, if we just unfold themselves to the following of these three principles to the extent of our might, praying for the mercy of Guru and Krishna to give us all the necessary protection and authority to execute the principles of religion of this age, Kali Yuga. So when we do that, then we follow the path of Rishabhadev, because Lord Rishabhadev showed everyone how to achieve the supreme perfection of the spiritual practice. The highest perfection, one of the manifestations of the highest perfection is one becomes completely independent from the material reality, up to the point that sometimes one don't have to care for the society, for the people in general, because he is completely self-satisfied, and one doesn't depend upon the demands of the material body. One doesn't have any material needs, because because as long as needs are there, we are dependent. We are dependent, and we have to be social. We have to play some roles in the material world, because we have some needs, we have some desires. But when one achieves the perfection of one's spiritual life, then there is only one need which remains, and that is the mission of Guru and Gauranga, and that is the preaching mission. So, and when the Lord Rishabhadev found out that the general populace was very antagonistic to his execution of mystic yoga, he accepted the behavior of a python in order to counteract their opposition. Lord Rishabhadeva showed his good example to those people who could understand him, who could follow his path, and who were entitled to follow his path. And then he decided to just stay in one place, lay down, and be satisfied with his internal spiritual life. And here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, according to one's destiny, one enjoys allotted happiness and distress even though one keeps himself in one place. This is the injunction of the Shastras. The injunction of the Shastras that generally devotees should stay in one place, should remain in one place, and just do devotional service and be satisfied with what comes on its own accord or by execution of their prescribed duties. Unless one is a preacher, there is no need to travel all over the world. And like Srila Prabhupada once said, Narada Muni was cursed by Daksha, that Narada Muni couldn't remain in one place for more than 3 days. And Srila Prabhupada told his disciples that he transmitted, being in the parampara of Narada Muni, Srila Prabhupada also inherited this curse. But then Srila Prabhupada said that he transmitted this curse upon his disciples. So they have to travel around the world and carry on the preaching mission, so that Prabhupada could focus on writing his books, which was the most important part of his mission, one of the most important parts. A person can stay in one place and execute devotional service suitably according to time and circumstance. When Rishabhadeva saw that he was simply being disturbed by traveling throughout the world, he decided to lie down in one place like a python. That time may come in the life of a devotee when the devotee will have to stay in one place and just get focused on his own namabhajana, on his own practice of Krishna consciousness. When one is really old and cannot travel and preach anymore, or when one's children are grown up and married, so then that time may come up. that time may come. When Rishabhadeva saw that thus he ate, drank, and he passed stool and urine and smeared his body with them so that people would not disturb him. There may be three kinds of disturbances for someone who is elevated spiritually. The disturbance from the opposing elements, or people, ill-behaved people, ignorant people. The disturbance from those who just want to get a material benediction from the sadhu, Ashirvad, just come to him and beg him, "Oh Maharaj, please give me your Ashirvad. Okay, what's your problem? Oh, I got a pain in my knee." Once, two Indian gentlemen approached Srila Prabhupada when he traveled on a train with his disciples. And finally, when they made it to where he stayed, and Srila Prabhupada asked them what was their problem. So one of them told him something like this, that he had a knee pain. And to that Srila Prabhupada, pointing to one of his sannyasi disciples, told him, "Here is my blessing," meaning take sannyas. So the two Indians just promptly ran away. But that was really a benediction. If they would agree, they would have so much fun, so to speak. So there are three kinds of people which may disturb the sadhu, and at some joint of life, the sadhu may decide to stop traveling and active preaching and just get focused on his spiritual practice. And this also happened, just to finish the class, it also happened in the life of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When he became old and found out that the opposing elements he used to fight with throughout the whole life, like sahajas and others, they were still there, and they even increased in the numbers. He was very much upset. But then Gauranga Mahaprabhu appeared to him in a dream, or on the plea of dream, and told him to just establish his bhajana kutir somewhere in Jagannath Puri, and chant the holy name. And Gauranga Mahaprabhu assured Bhaktivinoda Thakur that he would purify the whole world just by his chanting. But that was after Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote his books and preached vigorously for many, many years. So basically, this is what we should do, following the footsteps of our acharyas, such as Lord Rishabhadev. We should carry on with our preaching mission, and meantime we should strive for success in our chanting, because without